Hey you guys, how you doing? So it's been a while, been a bit off grid, but I've had a reading coming through for you for a couple of days. So I've been really feeling into, in all different ways, on different layers and levels, resistance. Working through my own resistance in a new way. I'm really feeling into the collective resistance as well, that often we find at these points of massive change. So we can feel people reverting back into really deep patterns of fear and judgment, for example, people in our family, people around us, we can feel the energy. So last night I set the intention to feel into and bring through a reading for the collective around resistance, and these 4 cards literally flew out. So I've been cleansing the space, left them on my drum, and we're just opening this space now. So if it calls for you to receive, please take a moment, take a few deep breaths, settle into your heart. We're clearing this space now. I call in the divine light, pure consciousness, I am that I am. Holy Mother, Holy Father, Christ Sophia, step into my heart, into this space. May God speak through me, work through me, move through me, bring through transmission, the energy, the words, in the highest divine alignment for the greatest good of all. May any assistance from our beloved nature spirits, animal guides, ancestral family wish to step forward and assist us in the highest benevolence and light, we welcome you. Any energy less than divine is not welcome in this space. Thank you, beloveds. So this was really interesting. These literally just flew out, and I want to just kind of pull up these cards today and just record this in this way, just to give you more of a visual here. Now, resistance is a multi-dimensional experience sometimes, right? It's not straightforward. And what I've found in my own journey is sometimes I've had to separate essentially what feels like resistance, what is my resistance, what exactly I am resisting, and the resistance to the resistance, because sometimes we don't want to feel, we just want to push forward. We want things to expand, and instead we get kind of stuck with this feeling that we label as resistance. But the fact is, if resistance is present, that's kind of telling us that we are expanding, right? We are expanding. So there's no, if there's no expansion, if we just stay in our comfort zone, there's no need for the resistance, right? So if resistance is coming up for you and that resonates in your reality, then hold it in your heart and in your awareness that is actually a sign that you are growing, right? Now, the first card that came out was borrow, exhaustion, questioning motivations and realignment. And I just want you to, I'm just going to lift them up in case the light is not allowing a proper view, and then I'll just pop them back into place. Now, how many of us can resonate with wanting to curl up in a ball? If we feel like things are not changing quick enough, things are not going our way, there's something that we don't understand. And I found it quite interesting, the mixture of energies within these cards that came out. And by the way, I'm using the Earth and Bone Oracle, which is really a deck that honors the concepts of rebirth and transformation, okay? And I think a lot of us right now are in the birth canal, right? 444, as I looked up there. We're literally in the birth canal. We're literally waiting, wanting to pop out, and it's right on that threshold for many of us. And often when we're at a threshold, that's when we get new layers of resistance. Okay, it's a response to that experience of rebirth, right? Now, this is an interesting card because, at first appearance, it's like, oh, I want to burrow away. I want to hide away. And it can often be accompanied by a feeling of deep exhaustion. And how we perceive that is what I'm getting from here. There's like, somebody needs to be reminded that that space is actually you realigning. So in other words, if we feel exhausted, it can feel like overwhelm. But basically our soul is having a growth spurt. So this card has come to remind us that tremendous change and transformation are upon you. And within your inner knowing, regardless of whether you're conscious or subconscious of the change. So there can be a tendency when we're pushing ourselves, we're not allowing ourselves to rest, and we forget that we may be tired because the soul is trying to match your energetic vibration to a new reality. It's trying to align you with who you are on a deeper soul level. Okay, so really it's alignment, realignment. So in being out of alignment, there is a need to match your inner self to your physical self, which is like playing catch up, and it's leaving you exhausted. So this card has come to remind us, if we're feeling this exhaustion as a result of feeling like we're pushing up against something and it feels a bit like resistance, do not fret. And the card, this message is there are things you can do to strengthen your connection with yourself and receive from the universe. So when we allow ourselves to drop into our feminine and we're not pushing in the doing, what can I do? What should I be doing? I shouldn't feel like this. And we just allow ourselves to rest, practice meditation so that we can commune and meet with our true self in order to see what it is that we truly desire. So the burrow has come to remind somebody to open yourself up and practice vulnerability. Do not push shame aside. Embrace the feelings that may be uncomfortable and do whatever it is that your soul begs you to pursue. So feeling resistance, this energy coming through in a reading around resistance, right? Resistance feels uncomfortable. It's not the smooth sailing that we may wish for. It feels like we're banging our head against a wall or there's an obstacle or a block. But this card has come to remind us that that's actually not the case at all. Embrace the feelings that may be uncomfortable and do whatever it is your soul begs you to pursue, right? So there's also a kind of energy here, or a reminder maybe, that in regards to people who may criticize while you embrace your authenticity and vulnerability, remember their feedback is invalid if they are not the ones stepping up to the plate or facing off in the arena. Okay, so don't let them start to don't allow them to let you start to question your own motivation, question yourself. Remember, their feedback is invalid if they're not stepping up to the plate. It's also a reminder in this space of allowing ourselves to rest and borrow, like faith and vulnerability bring us closer to our higher self and who we are destined to be. So embrace past feelings and memories that make you uncomfortable and learn to heal them. Think of what makes you feel suppressed and acknowledge it, but never let it control your path or direction. So if you are feeling resistance within yourself, or you've identified that you are feeling resistant to change of some sort, that can make us feel suppressed. It can make us feel blocked. So acknowledge it, but never let it control your path or direction. And instead bring in that recognition that if resistance is present, that's because I'm bumping up against change. I'm evolving. So I've committed to change. I'm stepping up for myself. And it's a natural reaction to that in many ways, but don't let it control your path or direction. Listen to your heart and create stillness to hear it. Spend time in nature and connect with its flow of energetic healing. So very much a reminder there from the burrow to connect with the healing and the restful feminine space that wants us to just allow ourselves to be, okay, and understand that something deeper is going on, and that actually our soul pieces are dropping in and they're realigning, because sometimes the physical body has to catch up. Okay, so just it's like bringing in different awareness and shifting the perspective around what resistance actually is there, and allowing ourselves to be fully present with our process from a slightly different perspective. Now, we've now got the fate card. Okay, I'm just going to hold this one up. Alignment. So it's kind of following on. It's that realization that actually in the resistance, and sometimes this is like the burrow is like a collapse state. Okay, so sometimes if we feel resistance, we can kind of collapse into it. But moving on from that awareness that actually when we feel that exhaustion and collapse, something is realigning. The fate card is directly addressing alignment, okay, decisive moments and opportunistic events. I'm just going to hold that up for you to receive visually. So when we shift our perspective from collapse to realignment, we accept that alignment is occurring, and within that knowledge and knowing and embrace, we can make ourselves shift to moments that are decisive and take opportunities, okay, around that new alignment. Now, I feel like there's a few different aspects to this energy in relation to resistance. So yes, it's kind of bringing in that awareness of what's happening within the resistance present is a stepping up to the plate. It's aligning to a deeper truth. It's evolving. We're changing. Change is uncomfortable, and that's where the resistance is, but it's absolutely necessary for our growth. So this card comes to remind us that before we act, be sure you're in alignment. In other words, in that acceptance, rather than bumping up, resisting the resistance, right? And what exactly does that imply? Like, it means allowing life to flow through you by behaving as the receiver and then taking action based on that receptive frequency. So it's like we receive in stillness and silence. So again, it's kind of weaving in and allowing ourselves and flipping what feels like exhaustion and collapse to an allowing ourselves to be in stillness and silence and receive what we need to receive. Meditation is vital in any spiritual journey for learning how to listen to the messages or opportunities you are being sent. So it's like the fate card is saying to us, there's an opportunity within resistance. So don't demonize resistance, right? Now, this is really important. I love this part of this message. It says, you'll know when something is in your soul's alignment when you expand or feel excitement. It's something that lights you up. It's something that makes total sense, like a no-brainer. Now, I feel like this part of the message is coming through in relation to resistance, because what's coming through now for me, and I feel like somebody really is sitting with this at the moment and needs to kind of be reminded, okay? Now, many times somebody's perception of your resistance can be in conflict with how we actually experience that ourselves. There are many projections around resistance. I personally have been in a few different spaces and worked with a few different teachers that I no longer work with, and I immediately see this as a bit of a red flag actually now. Okay, so how can I put this? So somebody is being made to feel, or somebody's receiving a projection from another, maybe from a teacher, a coach or something, that they are in resistance because they don't want to receive their work. And I've had this personal experience myself on more than one occasion, where something's not in alignment with you, right? And you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that course. I don't want to take that class. Actually, I'm done with this person's work. And it's nothing personal. It just isn't in alignment for me anymore. And then to have that person, teacher, friend, whatever it is, whoever that is, turn round and say, turn round and say, you're in resistance because you do not wish to do this anymore. Like, there's somebody who needs to hear this aspect of the message, and this is why this card has come through. Okay, so if something is genuinely in alignment for you, it comes through your body with ease. It's a no-brainer, right? You can feel it straight away whether something's in alignment or not. But because we don't always trust ourselves, especially as women, we don't always trust ourselves. Sometimes we're still building the muscle of discernment. We're still sifting and sorting as to who we truly are and what's really good for us, okay? But in this process, people can make us question ourselves when they project onto us this kind of like, it's a little bit like an egoic thing where it's like they cannot accept that you no longer align with what they are offering, and they take it personally. So they project onto you this notion of resistance. So I feel like this message is coming through because somebody is having this process of questioning themselves. Am I in resistance, or is this just not in alignment for me anymore? Okay, so this card is really coming through to affirm for you, that when something is genuinely in alignment for you, you don't need to convince yourself or persuade yourself that it's right. It simply is. And this is a strength card for your discernment, for your sense of self. You can think and declare to yourself that someone is wrong when they try to impose their thoughts and beliefs on you that are out of sync with your heart and soul. Trust yourself, right? So this is really coming through to say trust yourself. Because we're not always in resistance. Sometimes something just isn't right for us. And when we can trust ourselves, not allow other people to project this concept of resistance onto us, okay, we don't have to say that out loud. You may avoid any conflict by telling yourself that what they think is not suitable for you. And this card comes to remind you that anyone who tries to impose their ideas, thoughts, or beliefs on you that are incompatible with your life choices should be released. And by telling yourself this, you can deny them any power and create self-worth. All right, and there's an affirmation with the Fate card. What is right for me will find me. I am open and receptive. I release what is not meant for me with love, and I remain true to myself. So I feel like this message in connection to resistance is referring to this inner conflict that sometimes we can have around resistance. Am I experiencing resistance, or is this just not right for me? Right? And, flowing beautifully on, right? Spectres. What's the first message on that card? Discernment. Discernment, critical thinking and insight. ura, mata, ushkt. So these two cards here are really bringing in a message of strength of self. Okay, and this, when we come to think of our resistance, like it's really about understanding, discerning, right, exactly what we are dealing with when we are speaking of resistance, because sometimes we're making meaning out of it that it isn't. So this refers really to, in fact, I'll read you a bit of this message first. Like a spectre, the illusions of the outer world constantly change and therefore are not real as such. Everything you once believed about yourself was based on well-intended fiction. Everything in your life is dependent on you. The energy that surrounds you is created by you. Gain control over this energy by embracing the fact that you are not helpless, but that you create your own world. Every lesson and hardship is meant to encourage you to learn, however difficult or joyous. So not only is this a kind of affirming backup of that sense of discerning what is true for you, but it's also, I feel like this is coming in response to this resistance theme here, because it's essentially a reminder that what we resist a lot of the time is not even real as such. Yes, it feels real. Yes, the physical reality is real, but it also isn't. So discerning that as well, and really coming to a place when we feel the collapse, the potential collapse of resistance to any sort of change. Spectres kind of reminds us that actually a lot of what we hold to be real and true is an illusion. So don't get too fixed on that. Don't resist something that essentially isn't actually real in your world. The seemingly physical world is an illusion. We can change everything with a shift in our consciousness, right? So if anyone can do this, why is everyone not doing it? Well, awareness, acceptance, and intention come first. Now, for many, this is a difficult state to overcome since they have been conditioned to feel helpless and collapse. Instead of having a shift in consciousness and perspective and knowing that any perceived resistance is actually a huge kind of like confirmation that you're at a tremendous point of change, and that is an enormously positive thing and often what we've asked for, right? You are connected to everything. You are the center of your universe. Our physical senses are incapable of comprehending anything that is not logical or linear. So when we start to expand, okay, and we potentially feel this resistance coming in, resistance to change, the spectre reminds us that it's absolutely pointless resisting something that isn't a concrete physical thing. Like what we resist persists. So this energy comes in to invite us to feel deeper into that truth that we are multidimensional beings, and it is our consciousness that we are working with, not a physical thing. Okay, we're changing the inner world. And any resistance to that is just a confirmation that you're just about to up level massively. So you have the ability to shift your mindset and realize how truly powerful you are here. It necessitates a paradigm shift in thinking and living with the belief that everything is possible. Believe in yourself as a divine being. Like when we recognize our own power, we notice that like attracts like. And really, this card comes to remind us exiting the matrix is very simple when we recognize that we are in control. Okay, so recognize that you are in control. You are the one to set yourself free from deceptive illusions, and we can choose what we think. I am the creator of my own reality. And the affirmation here is, I am strengthened as I seek the truth of my personal reality. And this is coming into a reading around resistance, because that is the truth, not the resistance that we feel, not that heavy, stuck, obstacle-like feeling that comes in when we come up against newness, the unfamiliar. Unfamiliar is uncomfortable to us because humans like the same. We like familiar. We ask for change, but then we find it highly uncomfortable. So I think the spectres comes in twofold here. It reminds us of the illusion of the physical world and what we resist persists, and actually just to flip and change our perspective and remember that we're multi-dimensional beings choosing our reality. And it also comes in to back up the fate card around discernment. So discern here. Allow yourself to own the things that are not truly in alignment for you, and do not let another person's perception, opinions, or judgments around what is right for you rule your life. Don't let somebody else tell you when you're in resistance. Okay, there's a difference between resistance and something just not being in alignment for us. And when something isn't aligned, then that's okay. You know, and on that note, before we move on, you know, we're not under any obligation to be who we were yesterday or last week. Last week, something could have been really good for you and aligned, and you were really into it and it felt good and it felt right. And something, we are changing and shifting at a very fast pace right now. And something can become no longer aligned like that. So allow yourself to shift and flow and change. And when you allow yourself to speak your needs as well, when you discern what's right for you and what's in alignment for you, allow yourself to speak your truth and watch how people's reaction. People who are genuinely of love and genuinely coming from their heart will always and only ever say, that's cool. Whatever is right for you is what I respect. If you get anybody coming with you, telling you that you're in resistance, telling you what is right for you, telling you what your alignment is, they're overriding you. They're trying to dominate you. They're coming from an old power over structure, and they're coming from their ego, which is edging God out. So allow yourself to witness. Don't make excuses for people. It just is what it is. It's not personal. You put yourself first. You discern what's right for yourself. Okay? And you discern what's in alignment for you. And when it's no longer in alignment, that's good. That's cool. You don't need to explain yourself, prove it, defend yourself, or go into any sort of collapse where you are questioning your motivations and questioning yourself. So I feel like the fourth card that we have here that sprung out for resistance was beloved. And this brings us full circle, right? Because here we're talking about love, reciprocity, and intertwinement. Okay. Now, that kind of links us into the opening message of the burrow, which is essentially when we feel like we just want to hide away, or we want to curl up, or we kind of feel a little bit tired and exhausted because something's going on. Can we bring in the deepest self-love and self-regard so that we can turn the collapse feeling that may come with that into a pure allowing? Allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to receive, because in the space of stillness and the feminine receptivity, that's when we truly open to the opportunistic events, right, that are waiting for us to happen, or waiting for us to open to, rather. So with the beloved cards, this energy, Spirit is pleading with you to learn to love yourself as much as you are loved by others. In the spirit realm, your guides love you unconditionally. Allow yourself to discover and create your own sense of authenticity. So again, it's a really empowering card here, allowing yourself to create your own version of what is good for you, your own version of being true to yourself, right? Your own authenticity and sovereignty. You're still in the process of learning. Okay, we're all learning. You're eliminating fears and obstacles. Now, somebody really needs to hear this as well. Like, that is the resistance, is the elimination of the fear and the obstacles. So just allow yourself to be there. Allow yourself to borrow. Allow yourself to receive that. Allow yourself to heal those frightened parts of us. When we feel genuinely in resistance, it's just a little part of us that's scared of the change. That's okay. Love that part. Love that part harder. Okay, you're eliminating fears and obstacles, and by doing so, you will be able to teach people about their own lives while also learning the truth about the other side. So here, Spirit wants to remind you, you have so much to give in terms of love. Give it freely, but I feel like it's coming in for us to really acknowledge the need to give it to self. Right? There's somebody here who really needs to acknowledge themselves for the love that they are. You are made of love. You're intrinsically love. Like, you are love. You are a divine expression and extension of God's source. And you really need to feel that for yourself as yourself and realize that you are the love that you've been waiting for, right? We are the love we've been waiting for. So it's saying here, your mission is to investigate every complex channel of your existence and learn everything that you can. And, going through and feeling some resistance to change is another aspect of self. It's an aspect of our physical incarnation. Okay, in terms of we're a soul in a physical body, and the soul wants to expand and evolve. But the physical body and the conscious mind is essentially the past. And so we're going to have these periods of resistance. Allow yourself, again, allowing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't want to be super self-indulgent, okay, because then we're going into stories. But allowing yourself to rest and receive seems to be a really important flip. It's like it's a reframing. This whole reading wants to reframe what resistance actually is and drop any old paradigm perceptions around that, okay? So with your awareness of your purpose, you bring healing to so many people who are saddened because they are experiencing exactly what you are. Suppression and fear of being true to themselves. Now, wow, this is such... it's such a powerful theme and message right now. And in my own life, I've gone through a lot in the last week around dismantling the constructs, the final pieces as well for me, thank God, around where I have not been true to myself or where I've had a fear. I actually did a Facebook post about it the other day. It's baffling why we have so much fear as humans, as women, to allowing ourselves to be truly seen and heard. But it does exist, and it is that way. And it just is. So understanding that we are unpicking what is sometimes generational stuff, like what can be lifetimes, right, of suppression, and understand that, acknowledge that, and know that, that the fear of being true to yourself is a real thing. So it's kind of natural we're going to bump up against this feeling of resistance when we come to the threshold of change, right? So the beloved is speaking to learning as much as we can and experiencing exactly what we want. Give yourself permission. Do what you love and it will lead you where you need to go. Spirit is saying that they always have your back. You will always have enough. So the beloved comes to remind us in this reading not to act out of fear, not to act from that place of resistance, which when we kind of believe it or make meaning out of it as a thing in itself, oh, this means that it's not right for me, or when we misunderstand what resistance actually is and we go into this questioning our motivation and this collapse state, then we kind of misinterpret what it is, and we can then take our next steps from that place of fear that something is wrong. So the beloved in this reading, I feel like it comes to remind someone to let go and trust that your path is designed for so much abundance. Trust it, follow it. And this gives others a reason to be true to themselves. So this is about setting a standard of living by example through love. Accepting everyone without judgment, including yourself. You teach the art of authenticity. So, especially for healers, light workers, people who serve others, when we hit another round of resistance to something, we tend to be very harsh and critical with ourselves because we feel like we should have. There's always a should, isn't there? Oh, I shouldn't feel like this, or I thought I dealt with this, or, we're very good at telling other people, sharing with other people about the power of self-love and dropping judgment. But are we dropping that with ourselves? Do we fully accept ourselves? Because the art or the presence of authenticity is not something that we teach through words. It's something that we teach through our presence, through how we intertwine our knowing with our gnosis, through how we walk our talk. Are we genuinely accepting ourselves even in these moments of exhaustion, even in these moments where we might be doubting ourselves or trying to discern what's right for us, and in these moments where we know that we've been out of alignment because there's a realignment happening. That's going to happen. Okay, we cannot get in judgment with ourselves because there's a realignment happening. That's a great thing. So just relax and allow that to happen. Allow yourself to receive the beautiful changes that you've asked for, and allow, that takes time, space to, complete that realignment. So you're giving others a reason to be true to themselves by being true to yourself. You accept everyone else without judgment, so include yourself in that. No one is perfect and no one is less. No one is better or more right, and no one is any more important than anything else. And the affirmation here on this last card of the beloved is, I embrace, accept and reciprocate the love that is bestowed upon me from the universe. And that's the sacred reciprocity here, and the intertwinement. Okay, because when we can trust that all is working out in our favor, that our life serves us, even in these moments that feel like exhaustion, collapse, resistance, flip the coin, flip it round, reframe. Okay, and understand that this is spirit aligning your physical body with the upgrades and activations that your soul has received. And when you can drop into that acceptance that a realignment is happening, and the receiving space of rest and allowing, then the opportunistic events, the beautiful divine synchronicities and those decisive clarity moments come through so much easier. They just drop in, and we can easily discern what is in alignment for us and what isn't, and allow ourselves that. So yeah, that feels complete for now, and I feel like it's a beautiful depth brought in for that subject theme of resistance. Allow yourself, allowing. And also, if there's something that is really, if there's an area where you're really finding like a repeated kind of, either you are going into the collapse and you're finding it difficult to reframe it, or it's like one area or thing that keeps repeating over and over. What I have found really, really actually crucial and highly useful for me, and pretty much the only thing is actually working to finally kind of remove, release, bust through that resistance and push through that birth canal, right? Push forward is movement and sound. Like movement, move the body differently. We talk about reframing the mind, which is moving the perspective and the thoughts, right? It's moving the mental body. We talk about clearing through, allowing, which is really moving the energy through, allowing the emotion. Move the physical body as well. It's absolutely incredible. The powerful effect of physically moving the body differently. Change your routine in the day. Do things in a different order. Don't get stuck in any rigidity, not just in the mind and the emotions, but in the physical body as well. So that was coming through there as a really valuable assistance to busting through these last pieces of resistance. And if they're very strong, and it really does feel like exhaustion here, okay, that is simply telling you that you are at a massive threshold of change. Like, I'm talking about the changes that you've always desired, the things that you've really asked for, the threshold of a completely new reality. And this isn't woo-woo. We are, as a collective, at the threshold of a totally different reality. That is the rebirth. It might feel personal. We identify it in terms of our personal experience and lives. But collective consciousness, humanity itself, is in this process of rebirth. And we are the microcosm of that. And the more that we can allow those changes through this complete acceptance here, this allowing, this beautiful surrender without questioning everything, and just know that a realignment is happening. And the medicine there is to bring in this beautiful, deeper love here, and awareness that the physical reality and the things that are collapsing are an illusion anyway. And the only thing that's real is love. And the space that we receive, the new information, the new opportunities, the new connections, the deeper sense of self, and the dream weaving of that new reality is in this beautiful, feminine, allowing, receiving, accepting of what is, without making any meaning, without clinging to it, and without making yourself wrong. Thank you so much for receiving, for joining. We're on 44 minutes. That's a perfect place to close. I'm sending you so much love. If anything here resonates with you, do support, hit the like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon. Mushkiana.